you step on marbled stone. Voices cold as ice, hearts of stone. Every nod's a pact, every glance a knife. This is not a game, it's the way of life. All the bosses men, they never fall, standing tall behind the curtain's call, loyal to the oath till the bitter end. This is how it goes with all the bosses men.
One of the utmost compliments you could pay somebody in prison is when you say, that guy is a man's man, he walked it all the way to the gate. Okay, that means he walked it through prison and he walked it right to the gate out the door. And that's, my father was one of those individuals. He walked it all the way to the gate. He was a tough guy, a man's man, all the way to his last breath.
For some reason, he let me in his life very early when I got straightened out. Personally, in there. John had presence, charisma. He had presence. And when you went in the room, you felt John. It's hard to explain. You knew who he was, what he's capable of. You're looking at a guy that has the power of life and death. But John was just a bigger-than-life guy. I know it's a tongue-in-cheek thing to say, but that was John.
There'll never be another John Gotti. He was tough. He was crazy. You know, if you were in that life and you did the wrong thing, you were punished. There were penalties, and you knew that. But he's the last of the Mohegans. There will never be another John J. Gotti again.
Who are all the bosses' men? There are three prominent ones that have survived that life and have spoken about their time next to one of the most powerful mafia bosses in American history. The first, the namesake and firstborn son of the dapper Don, John Gotti Jr. Jr. has said on many occasions that his father was his cause, vowing to be a loyal son as well as a loyal soldier till the very end. The second, Mikey Scars DiLeonardo. Michael was a vital part of the Gambino family, having been brought into the inner circle by John Gotti himself and thought of very highly by the boss. The third was Louis Kasman, known as the adopted son of John Gotti. Louis has a very unique perspective on Gotti, not so much as a soldier in the family, but as a friend and someone that had the ear of John Gotti.
Police in New York are still looking for the men who gunned down Paul Castellano last night. The police are not sure what they have on their hands. It could have been a killing widely sanctioned by the underworld. It could be the beginning of a gang war.
On December 16, 1985, gunmen lay in wait outside of Sparks Steakhouse in downtown Manhattan with sights set on the boss of the most powerful mafia family in the country, Big Paul Castellano. Law enforcement feared a mob war within the Gambino family. A few bosses of other crime families were not happy with the move against Big Paul. A powerful captain of the Bergen crew emerged as boss. Gambino captains fell in line and everyone had to respect the strength of John Gotti. This marked the beginning of the Gotti reign.
What took place, was an unprecedented moment in the history of organized crime. It was kill or be killed. So everybody fell into line. And, there were captains that you knew resented it, like, the Jimmy Browns, maybe Danny Marino. But, a lot of the very powerful captains were on John's side, because there was no love lost with Paul Castellano. The guy, the average guys, and even various captains, they didn't care for Paul at all.
If you go back to 1985, the mob, all the families, just about everybody knew or heard of John Gotti. That's where it was limited. The day that Paul was killed, he became a public figure, and a figure that resonates till today.
It was reported that in 1985 that my father had carried out the execution of Paul Castellano and took the throne. He became the king of the volcano, as we call it. That's why so many individuals have respected my father, because the simple fact is that nothing was given to him. He was a self-made kind of guy. He was a seize the moment, take control kind of guy, and people respected that. Tough guys respected that.
In the famous philosopher's book, The Prince, Machiavelli writes that it is better to be feared than to be loved, if one cannot be both. After his violent rise to the top, John Gotti was both. Feared by his adversaries, loved by the public, and respected by all.
He was good for our neighborhood. We protected the neighborhood. We protected the people in our neighborhood. We protected the industries in our neighborhood. We protected everybody. They knew that they were safe when they were next to us. They knew John Gotti was there. Social clubs that were affiliated with John, the people that were affiliated with John, they knew that they were safe. Ozone Park, Howard Beach, those communities, which were extremely loyal to my father, and we are extremely loyal to now today, or I am, okay, because of that love that they've showed to my father, my family, okay, that love and that loyalty.
He was super respectful to women, super. He wasn't allowed to say anybody to act like a degenerate or you said something stupid. John would never do that. And if you heard anybody doing that, you would get admonished. They would get admonished. He wasn't into that. Look, if he knew somebody had a relative that was sick, he opened the conversation. I heard your sister-in-law got cancer. What kind of cancer is it? Oh, it's an oat cell. It's a this cell. Yeah, that's a tough one. I wish the best. Maybe you should go see this doc. If you need any help, let me know. I got some doctors that can help you. Interact with everybody like that. Very caring. He wanted to know everything about you. Very observant. And that's where his balance was. It's like, wow, John just asked me about my family. If he heard it and he knew it was a health issue, he was going to show he cared. He was a gentleman. I tell you what, I have I've seen him in a different way at different levels and different times. The guy was a gentleman.
John was very generous to a fault. Money was not his god, unlike Castellano and others in the mafia, where money is their god. That became a thing with me and John, with the money and the fact that he, helped this one, helped that one, and it became a little out of control. But we would talk and things were done. But yeah, he was like that. He, if he liked you no matter what. That's how he was. If he was going to help you, he helped you no matter what. And I could tell you 20 guys he helped, and I never got the money back. And he was just that way, man. He would give away 500 to 1,000 turkeys on Thanksgiving. He'd have a truck drive all around the Bowery in New York. He wasn't a church-going man, but when the church needed money, 20,000, 30,000, you know, like I said, but he wasn't a religious guy. He would, you know, a guy by the name of Herbie Sperling. You might have heard of Herbie Sperling. His wife was in trouble. John made me, and I knew the wife. They lived in Belmore for a while, and then she moved back to the city, to the projects, and she needed help. She was sick. Gave her money, put air conditioning in her apartment. I mean, I could go on and on. He was just that way.
December 11th, 1990 would be the beginning of the end of the Gotti reign. The boss of the Gambino family, John Gotti, his underboss Sammy the Bull Gravano, and his consigliere Frank Locascio were together at the Ravenite Social Club in Little Italy when they were interrupted by local as well as federal law enforcement with an arrest warrant. The entire Gambino family administration faced several racketeering charges, with John Gotti in particular facing 5 charges for murder. This would be the last day of freedom for John Gotti. As news of the arrest spread, much of the public were outraged.
Wanted him at any cost, and they got him at any cost.
He was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?
I was going to the MCC on visits 3 days a week, so I had access. And don't forget, I was handling all the lawyers for him. You know, Bruce Cutler, Jerry Shargell, Mike Rosen. You know, all the lawyers had to report to me, and you know, John was calling me. We had a phone on my desk at work that was strictly dedicated to John. And when that phone rang, it was the boss.
If the RICO indictment wasn't enough to put John Gotti away for life, the next series of events would. In a move that shook the world of La Cosa Nostra, John Gotti's underboss, Sammy the Bull Gravano, secretly contacted federal authorities and agreed to turn state's evidence against his boss, resulting in Gravano being removed in the middle of the night and placed in protective custody until the trial.
He was the poster boy for government cooperation. He was their guy. They got him to flip against John Gotti. You've got Sammy Gravano, this high-ranking, powerful member of this entity, to cooperate against John Gotti, this charismatic Teflon Don, who to this point was so successful that repelled every attack against him. He repelled them. And now they says, we finally checkmate. We got you. Sammy Gravano had admitted to 19 murders, not to mention robberies, assaults, extortions, construction frauds, and all the other stuff that goes with it. The deal that Sammy Gravano was given was he was forgiven for 19, he was given absolution for 19 murders that he admitted, numerous crimes, was allowed to keep millions of dollars in ill-gotten gains, okay? Was taken out of the MCC, which is a federal housing unit, brought to a house in Quantico, Virginia. He was being housed in a cushy house there. And thereafter, his testimony was, when he was done testifying, was put in, cushy Witsec units. Was released after 4 years.
No, my father wasn't innocent. My father was what he said he was, and there wasn't a hypocritical bone in the man's body. Unlike some of our politicians and some of the individuals that run the heads of our state, okay, that sit there, the hypocrisy of it all. They're holier than thou, and yet thousands of people are dying all over the world. John Gotti told you who he was. He was a hoodlum 24/7. Okay, so I knew. I'm not delusional. I understand.
I was extremely close with Gravano my whole life, since a kid. We had to separate. I didn't hang out with him when I was 12. My brothers don't, but I knew Sammy Street. And then as I got into the street, we wound up in the same family. We interacted a lot, real lot. We were very, very close. And I looked up to Sammy greatly. I revered Sammy. It was somebody that was street and someone I identified from my neighborhood, like my block. So and he flipped. It was sickening to me.
There was no one closer to mob boss John Gotti than this man, Sam Gravano. Known to fellow mobsters as Sammy the Bull, Gravano was the alleged underboss to Gotti of the Gambino family, the largest crime family in the United States. News 4 has learned exclusively that Gravano has turned canary. He will be the star witness for federal prosecutors at the Gotti trial, the trial where he was supposed to be the second defendant. The idea that Gotti's own underboss would testify against him, under oath, in open court, sent shockwaves through mob circles.
See, the government knew how John was feeling about Sammy. If that arrest doesn't come down, Sammy's gone. To Sammy's luck, they all get arrested, and this is what happens. But otherwise, there'd be no Sammy Gravano. John was done with him. There were complaints coming in 7 days a week about Gravano. He robbed people, he abused people, he stole. Don't misunderstand me. John was a bad guy. John was a tough guy. But if you were in business with John, you were in business with him. He didn't look to edge you. He didn't look to take more. I was in business with John. Whatever we did at the end of the month, he didn't say, I want $2 more.
Yeah.
Sammy, you couldn't be in business with Sammy. You're just a bad guy. John Gotti's biggest mistake was Gravano.
On June the 10th, 2002, at the age of 61, John Gotti passed away at the U.S. Medical Center in Springfield, Missouri, after a long battle with throat cancer. Despite receiving horrible medical treatment and having been handcuffed to a bed, the dapper Don went out on his own terms, never bowing to his adversaries, dying as he lived, a street guy and a man's man. Known to many as the last of the Mohicans, the life and death of John Gotti left a lasting impression on all the boss's men.
My father would refuse to believe anything else other than what he was. He believed he was right. He believed the life choice that he had made was the right life choice. He was unapologetic for it. John was not afraid in the end. He was dying, and he was dying the way he lived. Okay, he wasn't going to be a hypocrite at the end. He was a tough guy. He went out a tough guy, and that's just the way it was. Whereas in my eyes, through my eyes, he was my cause. My father was always my cause, and he was a larger-than-life guy. He wasn't I didn't idolize him. I worshipped him, and I still do today. Still do today. His strength.
They shipped John out of Marion and put him in Springfield. Springfield is the alleged hospital for the Bureau of Prisons. You're better off going to a veterinarian clinic. They ship him out, and John's there for quite a while. Again, they cut John, half a tongue was removed, and no medical treatment. Again, they'd given him chemo, but it was too late. They were giving him inferior chemo, so they burned his face because they don't have the right doctors, they don't have the right staff, they don't have the right nurses. These are all creatures. I don't know where they come from that work for the BOP. They're creatures. And some good people, but most of them are not good. And so everything was inferior, everything was bad. Peter called me and said, you better fly down. It doesn't look that good. So Mrs. Helmsley sent me a private jet for me. We flew down to Springfield, me and Johnny Boy Ruggiero. And ultimately he did pass away. And so he passed away. And I miss him. I miss him terribly. Think about him every day. I miss him. I love him. I miss him every day. Yep. There isn't a day that goes by I don't think about it.
You know, when people come into your lives and leave an impact, one way or another, some people could leave a devastating impact on you, as we know. People could leave a negative impact on your life that stays there to your death. But John, I'm going to celebrate him as my friend, but still can't take away what's in your heart and how he treated me. And we all have regrets about certain things in life. I know John had a lot of regrets, you know, but still, he paid his price for what he did.
This is a man that was in solitary confinement for 10 years, and he died handcuffed to a bed. He refused to bow to these individuals. He refused to let them spike him in induced coma to reduce his pain. He refused because he felt that they would try to maybe make him say something, so he suffered like an animal to his last breath. And his death certificate says that he choked on his own vomit and blood. That's how he died. I would give my right hand right now, I'd take it off, just to sit down one more time and be in a room with my father one more time and have a cigar and have a martini and have one more heart-to-heart conversation, just one more time, just to be able to talk, but be able to talk without someone listening to us.
In the shadowed halls where secrets lie, deals are made beneath the smoky sky. Whispers echo like a loaded gun. All the bosses men, the chosen ones. Leather shoes step on marbled stone. Voices cold as ice, hearts of stone. Every nod's a pact, every glance a knife. This is not a game, it's the way of life. All the bosses men, they never fall, standing tall behind the curtain's call, loyal to the oath till the bitter end. This is how it goes with all the bosses men.
Every holiday, every function we had, we'd always toast to John Gotti, always. Okay, and we'd toast our brothers who weren't there. And then I would say, it's our honor to go to prison for John Gotti, it'd be our honor to die for him.